Good, happy Thursday morning, April 16, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Thursday morning, so let's begin. First up, 5 more deaths linked to COVID-19 confirmed in New Hampshire. 3 deaths in people younger than 60. 5 more deaths related to COVID-19 in New Hampshire has been confirmed, state health officials said on Wednesday, yesterday. 3 of the people who died were under the age of 60, according to the Department of Health and Human Services. 2 of the patients were residents of Hillsborough County. 2 were residents of Rockingham County, and 1 was a resident of Merrimack County. Health officials said 53 new cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed in the state, bringing New Hampshire's total to 1,139. There are 742 cases currently active. 15 new cases have required hospitalization, health officials said. Overall, there are 70 patients in the state hospitalized with COVID-19. Health officials said 7 of the new cases had no identifiable risk factors, indicating that community-based transmission is continuing to increase in the state and has been identified in all counties. And now let's take a look at your COVID-19 in New Hampshire, what you need to know. And here is a look at that COVID-19 in New Hampshire, what you need to know. There are 1,139 number of people in New Hampshire who have tested positive for COVID-19. 614,484 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. 32 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 178 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And 27,085 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. This map of New Hampshire shows where the cases of COVID-19 are in cities and towns. In Fitzwilliam, 1 to 4 cases of COVID-19. In this graph of new cases each day in New Hampshire. In the purple, daily new positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalizations. And in the red are the deaths. And your common symptoms: fever, cough, and difficult breathing. How it spreads, and prevention tips. Be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. Ventilators hard to find, but New Hampshire supplies okay for now, HHS Commissioner says. Dozens of first responders under quarantine. Let's take a listen to that video from WR News 9.
Beltate's building supply has been classified an essential business, and we take this responsibility very seriously. Now you have the option to place your orders via phone or email to orders@beltates.com for free delivery or curbside pickup. Stay safe because you matter to us.
State health leaders say that massive delivery of personal protective equipment on Sunday is opening the door to more COVID-19 testing in New Hampshire, but they're still trying to acquire more ventilators. Right now, there are about 900 of them or similar machines in the state.
I like the number we have right now. I would love it if it was about 100 more, and I would be really happy if it was about 300 more. But I'm comfortable where we are right now.
Unemployment numbers continue to soar. During a conference call of top state leaders, the Employment Security Office said it set a record, paying out almost $10 million in benefits yesterday.
To put that into perspective, we paid out approximately $40 million in benefits for the entire year for 2019.
Safety officials also discussing the dangers for first responders. Currently, 76 of them are quarantined, including police officers, firefighters, and EMS workers.
The truth is they're struggling. All healthcare workers right now are struggling.
Meanwhile, the governor says he's looking at models on reopening the economy, but cautions we're not there yet.
When we talk about opening things up, we always have to make sure public health is preeminent, know that we're not out of this until we see a vaccine and get this down to zero. We're always going to have to be managing through this in some way.
And regarding those ventilators, because they're difficult to find, New Hampshire will also be trying to get BiPAP and CPAP machines, which can be used along with oxygen for critical patients. Reporting live in Concord, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Planning underway for COVID-19 testing at Hillsborough and Rockingham facilities. Workers at long-term care assisted living facilities to be tested. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Chapel Tractor has been in our family since 1955, when great-grandfather Pearlie and grandfather George decided.
The New Hampshire Joint Information Center confirms that starting Monday, mobile COVID-19 test sites set up near long-term care and assisted living facilities in hard-hit Rockingham and Hillsborough counties will test all employees, some 6,600 workers on all shifts.
I know in talking with Convenient MD that they seem excited to get this project underway. They share our concern for the residents.
The head of the New Hampshire Healthcare Association applauds the state's announced partnership to test and for free. He says tests have been hard to access, results slow to turn around, contributing to a workforce shortage, among other things.
There are a lot of untested, asymptomatic people who could potentially come into contact with residents. And so to be able to screen them and confirm that they don't have the virus is, I think, a real plus.
The commissioner of DHHS says if they are seeing a lot of asymptomatic positives, they may retest and expand to other counties. Williams says regular retesting would be ideal.
A person can test negative for the virus, and the next day they might have it. So, there's always going to be that risk.
And he says the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services recommend residents be tested regularly, too.
We're a long ways away from having that now.
The New Hampshire Joint Information Center says once the testing starts, it will take about 17 days to conclude. We're live in Portsmouth. Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire Motor Speedway owner eliminates 180 positions in restricting. Speedway Motorsports says cuts needed as COVID-19 crisis continues. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Chapel Tractor has been in our family since 1955, when great-grandfather Pearlie and grandfather George decided.
New Hampshire Motor Speedway is about as quiet as it's ever been. As NASCAR continues to postpone race after race because of the COVID-19 pandemic, Speedway Motorsports, the parent company of NHMS, has released a statement that said, in part, since the beginning of the shutdown 4 weeks ago, we have kept our entire team on full pay while our properties remain dormant. In that time, it has become clear that we must be a more nimble, more efficient organization. As such, we have made the difficult decision to restructure our business and eliminate many duplicate positions. 180 positions will be eliminated at 8 speedways, and 100 people will be furloughed. NHMS spokesperson would not say exactly how many jobs are impacted at Loudon, and for now, the big NASCAR race in July is still scheduled. This race is a big economic deal not only for the state of New Hampshire, but for local businesses here. And given what the coronavirus has done to the economy, it couldn't come at a better time. Having the Monster Cup Series race in Loudon pumps tens of millions of dollars into New Hampshire businesses.
That race is very important to New Hampshire. When that race takes place, all the hotels are booked in our region for several days in advance. People are here shopping, they're extending their vacation, so it's very significant.
Tim Sink says that even with the race, summer tourism is expected to be way down, and they may have to look forward to next year. In Loudon, Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Bristol community helps support businesses during time of layoffs and closures. Owners say people make effort to order takeout, buy gift certificates. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Kristen Carosa.
Chapel Tractor has been in our family since 1955, when great-grandfather Pearlie and grandfather George decided...
Positive messages can be seen in the windows of businesses in downtown Bristol as owners brace for the long haul during this pandemic.
We're trying to hang on, like I think everybody else is. So.
Mary Lemieux owns this coffee shop and pizza place. Customers are still coming in to support her and others, adapting by offering takeout only.
They're even buying gift certificates for no reason that they might use later, and they're really trying their hardest to help out.
But some have been forced to close down completely, like this clothing shop.
I did mail out some things to folks this morning who know their sizes and know what they like. But for the most part, I'm pretty much shut down.
The Freudenberg factory, which has a big impact on the town's economy, had to lay off more than 100 employees. The company makes bonded piston seals for car makers all around the world.
I mean, it's certainly concerning, but everything that I've heard from the people that I've talked to at Freudenberg have said that they have every intention of bringing back the employees. The employees weren't fired. They were furloughed, and they expect to be bringing people back.
The Bristol town administrator says this continues to be a tough time for all Granite Staters to navigate, but he says watching his own community come together has been rewarding.
There are people stepping up left and right who are supporting each other. I mean, you've got people who are buying gift cards from restaurants and shops and then raffling them off and donating the funds to social service agencies. Everybody is most definitely in this together and really, really determined to make it through. And I think everybody is really supporting each other. That's what's been amazing about this whole experience.
Businesses tell us one of their biggest concerns moving forward is over summer tourism. They hope things are back to normal by that time. Reporting in Bristol, Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Police not charged in hotel shooting. Standoff report says man killed, 2 others found dead after standoff. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Chapel Tractor has been in our family since 1955, when great-grandfather Pearlie and grandfather George decided...
Investigators say the rapid gunfire heard on this dash camera video reveals the moment a Manchester police officer and DEA agent shot and killed 51-year-old drug suspect Stephen Marshall. The New Hampshire Attorney General's office releasing Wednesday the deadly shooting in March was justified, based in part on that audio.
You could hear the events of what occurred. Mr. Marshall shooting out through the window, breaking through the rest of the window glass, and then confronting officers.
The AG's office says this photo, captured by a local photographer, shows a semi-automatic handgun still in Marshall's hand after he was taken down by police and now lying outside the hotel. Meanwhile, the two other suspects inside would go on to shoot at officers for 8 hours, as seen here in this Manchester police body camera video. The AG now says officers were also justified when responding with less lethal tactics to get Christian and Brandy St. Cyr to come out. But they had no luck.
Despite over 100 phone calls, text messages, inside to trying to get them to surrender on warrants that were outstanding, they refused to do that.
A medical examiner later ruling the St. Cyrs died of hypothermia and a mix of fentanyl, meth, and cocaine. No police officers or DEA agents were hurt as a result of the standoff. For a look at the full AG review and report, we've posted a link to it on our website at WMUR.com. Reporting in Manchester, Tyler Dumont, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire nursing homes worried about running out of PPE. Administrators say outbreak could quickly drain the supplies. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Beltate's building supply has been classified an essential business, and we take this responsibility very seriously. Now you have the option to place your orders via phone or email to orders@beltates.com for free delivery or curbside pickup. Stay safe because you matter to us.
Hillsborough County Nursing Home is among so many facilities anxious about their supply of personal protective equipment. Administrator David Ross says so far there have been no positive cases at the facility, but supplies are running low.
We are really challenged, as most healthcare facilities are. We have seen a significant impact to us with the global shortage of available protective equipment. Things like gloves, masks, gowns are in such dire short supply.
With 300 residents and 400 staff members, the need is dire. But Ross says the community is going out of its way to step up. Like mother and daughter, Teresa and Emily Walker, they started the Sewing Battalion, a volunteer group of about 500 people. So far, they've made thousands of masks, hundreds going to Hillsborough County Nursing Home.
When this crisis is over, we're going to feel as though we tried to do something positive. And we hear from our battalion members all the time that they are so happy to be contributing.
For Ross and those at the facility, the help is huge. From those mask deliveries for people's health to deliveries that soothe the soul, like flowers from Goffstown business Apotheca Flower Shop.
We have been overwhelmed with the generosity of the community.
So that was Charisse LeClaire reporting. Ross says they do anticipate that the facility will get some PPE from that massive shipment that came into the Manchester-Boston Regional Airport over the weekend.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Dow features turnaround point to opening gains ahead of key jobless claims data. Features consist tied to major U.S. stock index recovered earlier losses and pointed to opening gains ahead of key jobless claims data. Coronavirus devastating toll on Black and brown Americans. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
effort in Chicago. We have been reporting here on the awful toll on African Americans across the country, here in New York, of course, as well. The Latino community hit hard as well. Tonight, that effort in Chicago, where they say they must be better prepared for all of this, as Oprah Winfrey now sounds the alarm too. Tonight, Cheryl Burton from our Chicago station, WLS.
Tonight, the coronavirus devastating toll on Black and brown Americans on full display here in Chicago. 63-year-old Harold Davis devoted the last 2 decades of his life to at-risk teenagers fighting to end the violence. The married father of 2 died on Easter Sunday, killed by an invisible bullet called COVID-19.
After doing all this work as a community activist, all this work as a businessman, making sure people ate every day, this man made it home to put that baby to bed every night.
72% of all people who die from COVID-19 in Chicago are African American. At this testing site just south of the city, hundreds lining up as the governor looks to increase testing in African American communities. Chicago ER Dr. Garth Walker says more blacks are getting sick and dying because they're working jobs that don't allow them to stay home.
And we also have to think about how our community is doing a lot of the essential work throughout Chicago and provide them with appropriate PPE.
Oprah Winfrey says the messaging about underlying conditions isn't being received. So she is sounding the alarm about what to look out for.
If you have diabetes, you have hypertension, you have heart disease, you use an inhaler, you have asthma.
In New York City, Hispanics make up 34% of all COVID-19 deaths. And in the hardest hit neighborhoods, only 28% of the residents have college degrees.
Just a staggering toll on the African American community, not only there in Chicago, but we've really seen this across the country during this epidemic. Here in New York City, just devastating numbers for the Latino community as well. And Cheryl Burton is a veteran anchor at our station WLS in Chicago. She's with me here tonight. And Cheryl, you were telling us that leaders there are already taking steps to try to address this problem.
Yeah, David, officials have expanded testing, and the city has created what it is calling a racial equity rapid response team to go out into African American communities to get a better understanding of the healthcare system with a focus on preventative care. David?
It's a really important story. Cheryl Burton of WLS in Chicago, our thanks to you and the incredible team of reporters there at Channel 7. We'll continue to follow this.
Hi. Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that is it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Bye, everyone.